is there some kind of perfect number of minutes, would you say? So we're talking about focusing on a particular task for, 1 minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes. Is it possible to kind of context switch while maintaining deep focus, every 20 minutes or so? So if you're thinking of like this, again, maybe it's a selfish kind of perspective, but if you're thinking about programming, you're focused on a particular design of a little bit, maybe a small scale on a particular function or large scale on a system. And then the shift of focus happens like this, which is like, wait a minute, is there a library that can achieve this little task or something like that? And then you have to look it up. This is the danger zone. You
Yep.
go to the internets,
Yeah.
and so you have to now it is a kind of context switch, because as opposed to thinking about the particular problem, you now have switched thinking about like consuming and integrating knowledge that's out there that can plug into your solution to a particular problem. It definitely feels like a context switch. But is that a really bad thing to do? So should you be setting it aside always and really trying to, as much as possible, go deep and stay there for like a really long period of time?
Well, I mean, I think if you're looking up a library that's relevant to what you're doing, that's probably okay. And I don't know that I would count that as a full context shift because the semantic networks involved are relatively similar, right? You're thinking about this type of solution, you're thinking about coding, you're thinking about this type of functions. Where you're really going to get hit is if you switch your context to something that's different. And if there's unresolved obligation. So really the worst possible thing you could do would be to look at like an email inbox,
Hmm.
right? Because here's 20 emails. I can't answer most of these right now. They're completely different. Like the context of these emails, like, okay, there's a grant funding issue or something like this is very different than the coding I'm doing. And I'm leaving it unresolved. So it's like someone needs something from me and I'm going to try to pull my attention back. The second worst would be something that's emotionally arousing. So if you're like, let me just glance over at Twitter, I'm sure it's nice and calm and peaceful over there, right? That could be devastating because you're going to expose yourself to something that's emotionally arousing. That's going to completely mess up the cognitive plateau there. And then when you come back to, okay, let me try to code again, it's really difficult.
So it's both the information and the emotion.
Yeah, both can be killers if what you're trying to do. So I would recommend at least an hour at a time because it could take up to 20 minutes to completely clear out the residue from whatever it was you were thinking about before. So if you're coding for 30 minutes, you might only be getting 10 or 15 minutes of actual sort of peak Lex going on there, right? So an hour, at least you get a good 40, 45 minutes plus. I'm partial to 90 minutes as a really good chunk. We can get a lot done. But just before you get exhausted, you can sort of pull back a little bit.